gospel perspective of abundance, there is enough. And we can live in ways that are not driven, controlled, anxious, frantic, or greedy, precisely because we're sufficiently at home and at peace in the world to care about our neighbors, just as God cares about us and them. This morning, as I thought about these things, I looked out the window, and I must have just put me in the right mood, but I saw the morning light in the trees, falling gently across the hills in the distance. And I realized I have more than enough in my life. I'm not a person struggling with homelessness or struggling with poverty. Nevertheless, in this everyday scene, in that moment, it felt like enough, the beauty of creation. The morning light was enough. In that moment, I knew life is a gift, and my life is always held by the grace and mystery of God. And I wondered why I so often end up feeling driven, controlled, anxious, frantic, and greedy. Because we all do in our society, because we're getting that message all the time. There's not enough. There's never enough. You're not enough. If you're like me, Brueggemann writes, while you may read the Bible on a good day, you watch Nike ads every day. And the Nike story says that our beginnings are our achievements, that we must create ourselves, and whoever has the most shoes when he dies wins. I think it's the bestest shoes. You see, the market ideology, Brueggemann writes, wants us to believe that life consists only of buying and selling, weighing and measuring and trading. And according to the Nike story, or whatever company you want to put in there, there are no gifts to be given because there's no giver. We end up only with whatever we manage to get for ourselves. But Jesus, Brueggemann says, presents us with an entirely different kind of economy, one infused with the mystery of abundance and a kind of cruciform generosity, a self-giving generosity. That's why we're here today. That's why we come to the table, sisters and brothers, to be reminded who we are by remembering who Jesus was, the way in which he lived, and how he trusted in the abundance of God's love to the very end of his life. In Jesus, we see an entirely different kind of economy infused with the mystery of abundance and a kind of cruciform generosity. 5,000 are fed and 12 baskets of food are left, Brueggemann continues. Jesus transforms the economy of the world by blessing it and breaking it beyond self-interest. Somehow on this path, from broken Good Friday bread and remembering from the brokenness of Jesus himself on the cross, somehow comes Easter Sunday abundance. That is the mystery of abundance and the cruciform generosity of God that we cannot fully comprehend, but is offered to us. That's why we're here today. That's why we come to the table. In the breaking of the bread, we are reminded of the abundance that comes to our lives and our world when we dare to share freely what we have so freely received, when we dare to trust in the abundance of God. In the cup of blessing, we see the life-giving love of Christ poured out for all, not just for me, not just for us, but poured out for all. And we find fresh strength for new ways of living. Our faith isn't just about spiritual matters, Brueggemann said. It's about the transformation of the world. Our abundance and the poverty of others need to be brought into balance. It has nothing to do with Republicans or Democrats, liberals or conservatives, socialists or capitalists. For people of faith, it is much more elemental. For us, the whole creation is infused with the Creator's generosity, and we can find or create practices, institutions, and communities that allow that generosity to work. So come to the table, sisters and brothers. Come with joy, a child of God, forgiven, loved, and free. None of us knows what risk God's Spirit may empower us to take. Brueggemann said, our faith, our ministry, our hope, are that the Creator will empower us to trust in creation's abundance and the Creator's generosity, so that bread may abound for all. So now we offer up our gifts in the weekly offering, giving out of the abundance of our own lives and out of the generosity of our hearts, out of the gifts that God has given to us. We bring those gifts forward before we bring ourselves as well to the table. So we'll continue now with our offering. Today we're not going to sing when we bring the offering forward. Once it's been collected, we'll just bring it up in silence, and then we'll join together in the prayer of our Savior as it's listed in the book.